Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Make My Mayday. I'm Zach Joyner, and right below me, for some reason, is Kelly McDaniel.
Hi.
And next to me is, now she's next.
Yeah.
But also, who is doing some technical assistance, the host of Books of X, a X-Men podcast that's going to be a Patreon first show.
Hi.
So
I let Kelly in the back door. My job is done. Bye.
All right, Neil.
It's giving me like 3 prompts to leave. I just want to leave.
Well, then go. Bye.
Bye. All right, so everybody, welcome to Make Mine Mayday, the show all about Spider-Girl and her world. We are covering 3 issues tonight. This is going to be a little shorter episode than we normally do. Before we get started, though, I do have to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/SpideyDude Network. Patrons such as Vinkman, Scott, Greg, Jurgen, Phoenician, Kale, Georgia, Jessica, Catherine, Cindy. Thank you guys for your support. Also, we got 3 new ones that I want to mention right off the top. And so I want to thank our newest patrons. Well, I'll do that in the audio edition. So if you're listening to the audio version, definitely have the updated version of that as well. So without further ado, let's get started. I am Zach Joyner. That is Kelly McDaniel. And what issues are we covering tonight, Kelly?
We are covering Amazing Spider-Girl 17, Amazing Spider-Girl 18, and Amazing Spider-Girl sometimes 17, but really is 19.
We will explain that little bit here in a minute. So there's
as I stated, I took the 17s.
Yes, she took the 17s and I took 18. So there you go. I'm
hearing Discord.
Yeah, that would be
you.
No, that would be it would be me, but it'd be Neil hosting in Discord. So thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
So
Neil.
yes, go over to our Discord. The link is at the top of the homepage, which was recently updated. I recently updated the front page of Spidey-Dude.com. Check that out. And so we got Happy Life Day, everyone, from Vinkman, and he says Neil with a SoFlo. So hello,
it is
everybody.
Life Day. So everyone watch the best holiday special ever. Totally not being sarcastic. Star Wars holiday special is awesome, and I will not accept slander on this holiest of days.
What are the chances that they'll ever put that on Disney Plus?
Never.
I want to see a drunk Carrie Fisher. Okay, I never actually got to watch the holiday special, so
it's on YouTube. So it's on YouTube, and there is a very crisp, almost digitally remastered looking version on YouTube that has the cartoon removed, and it literally says due to network issues. So I'm like, who remastered this to then possibly air at a later date, and that didn't happen? I'm pretty sure Disney did that on purpose and then realized that they couldn't actually put it on Disney Plus, so someone snuck it on YouTube, but it still hasn't come down. So you can watch it. It's on YouTube.
I'm gonna have to break down and do it. I am excited. I am excited for the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Me too.
That looks great.
Have
you seen Wakanda Forever?
Huh?
You saw Wakanda Forever, this week?
Yes, I saw it Tuesday.
Nice. I saw it on Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's a
no
delay.
Spoilers. Sounds like there is a delay, so let me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's weird. All right.
I think it. I'll make sure that I stay about a beat off before I answer things.
So, okay. We're covering the 3 issues tonight. Did I just stop? I got pop-ups and stuff. It's distracting me. So we're covering the 3 issues tonight. We do have some news though. And to talk about it, Kelly, give us the news.
Sorry, I need to just I can't have the jump in since there's a delay for some reason. But yeah, so we're getting some new Mayday. I'm still not 100% sure exactly what is going on, but there is a Marvel Unlimited exclusive comic. They've put out a lot of them recently, and one of them is called Spider-Verse Unlimited, and it is an anthology series. Right now it's at issue 2021, and issues 25 through 29 will be featuring the one and only Mayday Parker. So we've seen a lot of art. She has her long hair and had a denim skirt, quite like Amazing Spider-Girl. We saw a slightly older Benji in a J2 shirt. So he's also Justice for J2. This is clearly not mocking me. And yeah, so I'm not entirely sure exactly what's going on, who's behind it. But that's happening. So that's pretty cool. I know that they did like 8 issues with Penny already, and they've had Miles and Pete, and they've done a few different little things, and it's mostly about 12 pages each. It's not really a full-sized comic story. But they're like really neat little additions if you buy Marvel Unlimited, and you should. It's like $105 to have the Plus subscription for the full year. And you get like really cool toys and stuff that I normally just give to my nephew. So it's a neat thing. I've been doing it since, I mean, this is how they got me when they first started Marvel Unlimited with Spectacular Spider-Girl. So
Makes you wonder if somebody's listening to the show. Hello, Marvel.
I mean, they probably do, and they're mocking me by putting J2 on Benji's t-shirt and then not giving us the rest of the J2 series on Marvel Unlimited.
Just remember the hashtag Justice for J2.
Justice for J2.
As Makeman puts in the chat. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing the series. And these are usually, if I'm remembering correctly, these are Infinity comics, so they're designed specifically for the mobile market. So if you use the guided view feature, it kind of animates that's the best way of describing it. Animates kind of through the comic. So I haven't read any of these, but I'll have to go back and read some of them. I've read some of the Infinity comics when they very first came out, and they were okay. They're definitely optimized for like a tablet or a phone. So if you're reading along, I don't know how it's going to read on a computer screen, but definitely looking forward to reading some new pictures.
You can't access Marvel Unlimited on a computer screen anymore.
That's right.
So you can access it through your tablet. You can access it through your phone. I believe if you really, really wanted to do it, you could probably find a way to get it to work, like get the mobile app to work on your desktop, but you have to go through the app. And so that's kind of the situation at hand here.
So download the app. If we had an offer code, we give it to you, but we don't because Marvel doesn't support us that way. But
well, I'm pretty sure I'm blacklisted from any codes. After that time, I exploited the fact that the Diet Dr. Pepper, and this is back when they first did this. So what, 2010?
God, is it long?
Yeah, and it gave you a free month, but you could stack the things, and they caught me about, what was it, 18 months in after I'd stacked them. So don't be me.
Game in the system.
Look, they shouldn't have had it like that. That honestly was on them, not on me.
Yeah. And there's our Waylon Wade appearance for the episode.
All right. But okay, so I don't have a whole lot of news otherwise. I know that, obviously we have some, she's currently in that Spider-Man book. And she, the baby was mentioned in the Golden Goblin, which where have we heard that before? So, obviously, May is her presence is alive and well at Marvel. Just so that they can sell more comics, as always, or subscriptions.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it. I will kind of talk about if you're reading along with the issues, it's kind of fun to look at these trade dresses and see who trusts Secret Invasion. And just to tell you and give you context, the first Iron Man, is on not issue 17. As I hold the book up to our audio listeners.
No, it's 17 part 2, even though it makes no sense story-wise for that to be like that. But yeah.
Yes. So, all right. Without further ado, I'm going to let Kelly give the rundown of Amazing Spider-Girl 17, the actual number 17.
Yes. All right. So, cover date is April 2008. It was on sale February 13, 2008. The title is A Matter of Trust. We start off where Spider-Girl is wall crawling and web slinging all over Manhattan in the rain, looking for Dead Spot, but no such luck. Mary Jane calls May to ask her to meet them at Dr. Kaplan's, and while May fears for the worst, thankfully it's just so the family can get their blood tested to match as a donor for the surgery that Benji it can have to hopefully fix his hearing. This is just a precaution. It's just in case he needs a blood transfusion if something goes wrong. But it's totally, this is like totally a plan B, C, or, D. It's not anything to super worry about. And meanwhile, somewhere near the docks, a new crime lord named Crime Lord wants to hire some goons for a plan he has for tonight. Just as May decides no one is going to need a web spinner tonight in this kind of weather, Valentine Motors gets ambushed by the Crime Lord, and Crime Lord offers Mr. Valentine a bid on the Wilson Fisk documents. Barely an hour later, Valentine is telling Chesbro what happened, and Chesbro advises Valentine to get more info on this auction and telling him where to be when it happens. The next morning, the Parkers get a call from Dr. Kaplan, and he has scheduled the surgery for Ben and arranged for the Parker parents to stay overnight with Benji, as well as finding out that May is Ben's closest match for a blood donor. And this makes May feel so relieved. It kind of helps her with her guilt. This kind of makes her feel like, she can kind of make right what has happened, and, things will be okay. So in Hobgoblin's lair, he's yelling at Drasko about finding the Fisk files. And as Drasko leaves, Hobgoblin asks Mindworm if they can trust Drasko. Mindworm says he was hard to get a read on, and while he is hiding something, it could just be because Drasko is playing both sides. Pretty normal, villain working with dirty cops kind of mindset. So Mindworm doesn't think too much of it. Mindworm disguises himself as a goon for the Black Tarantula so he can get more info to send to Hobby in a overdramatic. What did I write last week? This is crazy. Anyway, basically to get more info, and this sends Hobby into an overdramatic villain pose and laughing, yelling because he's the Hobgoblin. Anyway, at Midtown High, May and Davida talk about Benji's surgery and how she's going to be staying home alone for the night for a good night's rest, but Davida doubts May could sleep with everything going on. Jean walks up and asks for a minute to talk to May alone, and while Davida has an attitude about it, May lets Jean talk to her, and Jean asks her if she wants to get back together, like he said last time, ending it with, "Are you willing to make the necessary changes to give us a fighting chance?" And I put that in quotations in my notes because ew. All right, later, Chesbro is talking to Cottonmouth about the auction, and while Black Tarantula doesn't really have a need for these files or even really wants them, Chesbro knows that by Black Tarantula not having them, it means it's going to someone who can use them to hurt his master. And, he can't allow that. Too bad Mindworm was the goon sitting next to Cottonmouth listening in on their conversation. As May is heading home, she gets a call from Chesbro about the auction. May didn't want to go out tonight. She didn't want to risk anything getting in the way of her helping out her baby brother. But she gets suited up and calls Drasko asking to meet up. Drasko is staking out, watching Charlie Kernkel, who, as we know, was dating Mona, the girl who had Wilson Fisk's discs earlier, which she got from Charlie. He's at the bar called Seedy's and is talking to a man who is offering him a job, like a goon kind of job. And Charlie passes because he's doing his own thing now, and he might be set for life if it goes right. Spider-Girl and Drasko talk, and Drasko says he never gave them to anyone. He never gave the files to anyone, or the disc to anyone. And he's not running around with a name like Crime Lord. He figures that someone, maybe Charlie, is the new masked opportunist, as he might have copied the files Mona had. May sneaks a spider tracker on Drasko as Drasko sees Charlie leave the bar. May chooses to follow too, and her spider sense zeroes in on a window, which is where Charlie is trying to convince Mona to get back together with him. And he's telling her that he shouldn't have let his work get in the way. And the argument reminds May of her and Jean. Super red flag, but all right. But Mona just thinks that, he's a thief and a bad one at that. May debates if Mona might still be the one working with Crime Lord, but it's so wet and cold out. A lot. And when I wrote this, Atlanta was dealing with Hurricane Nicole. So anyway, it was really wet and cold out, and May decides that she's just gonna go home before her parents get worried. May gets home, gets comfy in her pajamas, and sees her parents and Benji off to the hospital. As she's just about to head to bed, the doorbell rings. May worries it might be Dead Spot, but when she opens the door, it's Davita and Courtney with pizza, Cold Stone Creamery ice cream, and a bunch of Leonard Groot DVDs from Blockbuster. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Dead Spot speaks to someone on her burner phone, and while she's frustrated by not finishing her last hit and still on that mission, the voice gives her a new hit, as well as stops the current one against Spider-Girl. May tries to sleep, sending the girls home around midnight, even though they wanted to stay longer. May still can't sleep, though, and decides since the rain stopped, she might as well get some exercise to help her racing thoughts, right? She decides to see where Drasko might be and follows the tracker. She reaches an old Brooklyn theater and thinks it might be where the auction is held, but before she gets closer, something explodes behind her, narrowly missing her, thanks to Spider-Girl's spider senses. And it was like a crack-a-boom was the sound, almost as lightning strikes. It's the Hobgoblin. Uh-oh. Inside the theater, all the crime lords of New York City are meeting for this auction. Deadly Delilah, Cornell Cottonmouth, Mountain Marco, and Fancy Dan. Hobgoblin does his best to fight Spider-Girl as Spider-Girl is trying to get away to avoid any sort of super fight so she can be at the hospital tomorrow. And Hobby tells her that they are both party crashers for the auction because he didn't get invited. Hobby outmaneuvers Spider-Girl and catches her in this new grenade net goo trap thing. And it traps Spider-Girl from getting away or getting out. And Hobgoblin uses her as his bid for the Wilson Fisk documents as he crashes the auction. To be concluded.
All right. So, love this issue. It's such a... I talked about this last episode, but I love, and I've got the book in my hand, if you're listening to the audio edition, but Crime Lord's outfit is like a mixture of like the Rose meets like Jigsaw Jonah Jameson from the 90s show when he's got the fedora and the overcoat. And the gloves, and so I really like this design by Ron Frenz.
I like the design of the character. Just the name could use some work.
But as we learn,
No.
like, yeah, but you're right. I mean, look, the name the name is the name. Like,
I'm saying it against the character, not against the creative team.
this is true. But I love the design. But yes, the crime lord is just a little too on the nose for a comic. But they even make fun of it too, so like they understand. But love that splash page with Hobgoblin, the Kakakum, with the lightning in the background, and it's Roddy and his just gleefully going after Spider-Girl is just a beautiful image. So the artwork is incredible. I really like the way that DeFalco balances the ongoing gang war story with the family drama and how Mayday is torn between the two. It definitely dates this era significantly because you're talking about Blockbuster,
What are you talking about? No, Blockbuster is timeless.
I mean,
Blockbuster will rise again.
Yeah, from that one lone Blockbuster in Oregon somewhere. But yes, Blockbuster was for you young whippersnappers. Your Blockbuster is what you used to do before Netflix. God, I've never felt so old. But no, I loved that Davida and Courtney come over and kind of have a girls' night. Like, it's these things that if you're just reading this for the first time, you're like, oh, but like they have needed that type of bonding time, because with everything going on with the election and Moose and all that, like, guys need their guy time.
Well, too, it's also like Davida's like Hail Mary and like, please don't get back with Jean.
I mean, listen, very rarely I agree with Davida. But in this case,
I mean, she's not wrong. Like,
right.
Her vibes, like knowing that he's bad news is not wrong. It's just more, I mean, my goodness. Again, as I stated, red flags, because he wants her to, Jean wants her to change everything about herself just so, May can be the arm candy for his quarterback dreams. And then May's literally listening to Charlie and Mona, who we know are pretty dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And she's listening to that and going, oh, that sounds like me and Jean. And of course, in teenage brain, she's like, oh man, maybe I should give him a chance, which is no, like, realize that you're literally like watching a deadbeat criminal and his kind of shady girlfriend arguing. You should not relate to this, May. But yeah, no, it's I don't know. I've got a lot of like thoughts. I mean, obviously my favorite scene is Courtney and Davida showing up. Davida's joke about wanting strippers. Not that they could hire them. They're all underage, but I appreciated the joke.
As an 18-year-old hookup, though, let's be real. If any of her friends,
no, Davida would find a way. But save that for the senior prank. Clearly.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, like, so again, the issue has great art. And the girls' night in, the family hug, where they finally get the call that it's scheduled. That's just warms your heart. But yeah, no, I mean, and two, the first page with May flipping in the rain, like, that's art.
That reminds me.
I love that.
So on the message board days of yore on Crawlspace, my my avatar was Scarlet Spider flipping from Maximum Clonage Alpha #1, and this very much reminds me of it. And if I was on a message board right now, I would be using this image to like animate. In fact, you know what? I may make that on the Discord.
You're going to animate it?
I think I'm going to animate. I'm going to scan the page in, and I'm going to painstakingly animate.
Okay.
Because I have nothing better to do. Anyway.
Well,
but
I mean,
I love that splash page. It's a great splash page.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I love everything about this issue. It's setting everything up for that final chapter into the new story, into brand new May, because we're kind of coming back to those first issues of Amazing Spider-Girl with the Wilskin-Fisk tapes or disc, and try to figure out like what actually is, gonna happen to this. And it starts to tie everything up, mostly. Because I just realized that I still have a few questions in terms of Dead Spot, which we'll get to
in the next issue.
And I think it's the next issue. Because we don't ever find out who really put the hit on her. I mean, I believe it's Hobgoblin, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I always thought it had to have been Hobgoblin.
I figured it was Roddy.
Yeah.
It was either Roddy or more sense if it's Roddy, because of the fact that she went after Chesbro. So, because like even if like Black Tarantula is mad at his little servant, he's not going to, destroy.
Well, the thing with Fabian, he's got some messed up morals and messed up, like, I mean, what he thinks is right and wrong is very different than what normal people would think is right and wrong. But there's just something, he has honor. And so that, to me, like, he wouldn't, even if he was angry at Chesbro, he wouldn't actually put a real hit on them. Although that might be why it was called off. But I don't think it was. And that's my thing, is like, it also made me think too, was it Mindworm? Trying to play the game?
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in the next issue.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if we ever really, I can't remember if we ever got to the bottom of it.
Maybe. Hey, Ron, if you're watching and or listening right now, feel free to leave us a comment. Help us out.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe I missed it when I was reading it last week. I don't know. I can't remember.
Venkman does bring up a good point. He says the ending of Amazing Spider-Girl 17 mirrors the ending of Amazing Spider-Man 26, where Green Goblin has captured Spidey and uses him as a bargaining chip to try to usurp the Crime Master.
Crime Master.
Yeah, this is kind of the MC2 version of, Crime Master, who is a Lee Ditko villain from way back.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't give Crime Lord that much credit.
No, that would be giving them too much credit.
I mean, this was a risky plan, and we find out that sometimes risky plans have consequences that are not so great, as we'll find out in the next issue. So I guess we should move on.
Yeah, let's move on to the next issue. That's a good segue. All right. Amazing Spider-Girl number 18. I'm going to be doing the rundown of this one. Cover date May of 2008, aka when Iron Man 1 came out, the first of the MCU. What started a juggernaut and a lot of product placement. As she grabs her Multiverse of Madness Wanda bag.
Look, I am aware. I complain a lot about marketing ruining comics for someone who buys all the marketing.
Oh,
very aware.
I bought the Wakanda Forever cup just so that way I could take it home. So
they weren't even at the theater. Regal was sold out of all the specialty cocktails. They were out of the popcorn buckets. There was nothing. And that was Tuesday of opening weekend. And
crazy. All right. So on sale date, though, was March 12th, 2008. The title of the issue is My Ally, My Enemy. The breakdown will be by me. All right. Our issue begins like so many have before it. A big opening splash page, trapped in a polymer that she got herself into thanks to Rowdy Roddy Kingsley in the last issue. Our hero, Mayday Parker, is struggling to break free of the bonds. Hobgoblin trapped her at the auction that the crime lord started. And of course, they're not having it because they don't trust Kingsley. In fact, so much so that they hired someone, that Crime Master hired someone with a freaking bazooka to blast Hobgoblin's glider and has impeccable aim.
You called Crime Lord Crime Master.
Oh,
yeah. Again, I get it. I get where this is all going from, but
Crime Master,
Crime Lord is no Crime Master.
Comments. That's what happened. I blame Vinkman. It's Vinkman's fault. Sorry, Vinkman. As Roddy recovers, the other bosses begin to encircle him when he calls upon the power of Mindworm to help stop these proceedings. This goes swimmingly, or so he thinks, until Mindworm gets a little uppity and decides he's got the power, so he should be the one that's the boss. Which, in Mindworm's defense, I mean, he's not wrong. We then cut to Midtown Medical Center, where MJ and Peter are dropping off Benji for his surgery. MJ is wondering where May is, but Peter tries to call, but they can't get an answer. MJ's worried, but Peter's trying to reassure her that everything's going to be okay. Back at the theater, Mindworm makes a offer to the crime lord: hand over the files or get mind messed. Hobgoblin then tells them that they are talking too much and throws a pumpkin bomb of gas in between them, which conveniently hits May. This helps free her and Mindworm off.
It's almost like you planned this.
Right? It's almost like this was his contingency plan. This frees her, and Mindworm orders the bosses to kill them both. A big fight ensues. We have a 4x or 2x2 grid page where we have in one corner the recreation of the cover. We have May fighting Man Mountain Marco and Fancy Dan before Roddy saves the day for May from Man Mountain, which May is kind of not feeling it. She's like, did I really just get saved by the Hobgoblin? What the heck is...
This night is not, she should have realized not to leave her bed that night, honestly, but
this is all because she went to go get some exercise.
Honestly, she claims exercise. I think she really was trying to checking up on Drasco. That's the thing. The thing with May is, if her personal life is going to heck, she's going to go put on the mask and just run around. She's going to find a reason just to be Spider-Girl and not think about her personal stuff. And then, and vice versa. And that's how she handles this. It's almost different than, because Peter just gives up. Peter doesn't rage quit. It's more like emo quits for a second and then comes back. She kind of runs, which is a lot like her mom.
I was about to say that's very much her mother in her, because of course, MJ always had the mask on, the metaphorical mask of she's the free spirit. Nothing bothers me. I am Mary Jane, but that's actually not Mary Jane at all.
Okay.
When you get past it. So we then cut to the diner with Davida and Wes, and they're having a discussion about them dating, and Davida kind of just lays the cards out on the table and says, look, I know that you like May. Everybody knows you like May, except probably May.
This is her Hail Mary to get Jean away.
This is her nuclear option at this point. She's trying.
She is trying so hard.
That should tell you, how desperate she is at this point. Because she's just straight up being like, look, I asked you out to try to get May's attention and it still didn't work. So, but she goes, maybe you should go be the shoulder to cry on, because Benji's having surgery. And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. So Wes is like off stage left. We have then Cottonmouth and Delilah.
Can I just say, he did say it was a great idea. He just left because
he did say it was a great idea.
You made it sound like it was far happier moment where Davida tried to like almost make Benji's surgery sound a little dire.
But it is Davida, so she's
trying to be manipulative. She's kind of bad at it, but it's fine.
Oh yeah. She's also, trying to play the heartstrings.
Oh yeah, no. Again, she's doing everything possible to get Jean far away from May.
Yes. So we then have back to the fight. We have Cottonmouth and Delilah attacking May as Peter decides to call. Peter called earlier, but she couldn't answer because she was stuck in the in the impact webbing like net. May is trying to play it cool, of course, but Peter knows that she's lying. She's like, no, it's just to shoot him up on TV. Sorry, I overslept. He's like, he hangs up with her and he's like, I've been in enough battles to know that that's the real thing. And of course, Peter knows she's lying, but he briefly thinks about going off to get his costume to go help, but his sense of responsibility towards MJ and Ben supersedes the need for action. He trusts May and in his heart says, go get him, Tiger. May has finally stopped most everyone, but Crime Lord and Mindworm are the last ones remaining. Of course, Hobgoblin's still fighting his group of goons too. She tells him that she owes Mindworm a beatdown, she being Mayday. But Mindworm then tries to get the goons to kill May, yelling, kill her, kill her, kill her, over and over again. But May just outpowers them and kicks his ass. So just as Hobgoblin is needing some assistance from May, the police finally show up and Crime Lord begins to make their escape. A silhouette kind of appears to give chase to Crime Lord, and May sees that, causing her to go after them. In a nearby train yard, Crime Lord huffs and puffs their way to escape. Charlie then confronts them, and they, being Crime Lord, explain that they have to get out of there. The two of them, have to get out of there. Just as they are struck down, that being Charlie, Dead Spot has returned. Crime Lord is despondent at the sight of Charlie being dead, and they drop to their knees, revealing it was Sandra all along. Not Agatha, but Sandra.
Mona.
Did I say Sandra? I meant Mona. Oh, it was Mona all along. Sorry, I don't know where I got to say it. I just pulled the like one of the wow. Womp 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 womp. Where is the sad trombone when I need it?
It's Mona. Mona. Think like, okay, so obviously this is gonna show how nerdy I am, but Mona is there's like this huge bit in the Hey Arnold movie. So 2002, Hey Arnold, the movie, the bus driver voiced by Craig Bartlett, creator of Hey Arnold, he created this thing for the bus driver where the bus driver was really upset about his girlfriend leaving him, named Mona.
Yeah.
So this is how I think about it, because I just think Craig Bartlett saying Mona in my head. And it's very awkward because then that makes Charlie sound like Craig Bartlett. It's an odd situation. Anyway.
All right. So it was Mona all along. May swings in and smacks Dead Spot, who reveals that the contract on May was suspended and that they're out, but they're out of here. They're trying to make their they being the Dead Spot's trying to make their escape. So May uses her spider sense to track her down, and she gets a drop on her. She's kind of surprised, but then she breaks free. She tries to get as she's fighting with Dead Spot. May is trying to get info out of her, but she literally destroys her battery pack, kind of remarking that, must be hard being so dependent on these, this technology. And we have this magical splash page. That's what I decided to call it. Where our hero, our pal Sal Buscema, punches her into Sal Buscema punches her into next month. Back with not Sandra but Mona, we learn that there is no files. There was never files. They were fake. It was one big con. She was trying to get in a bunch of money for her and Charlie to go off and start a new life somewhere else. May notices that Mona is the only one talking and that Charlie was gone. Mona is arrested. See, I fixed it. I fixed it later. Mona is arrested, and May gets an update. Mindworm and Hobgoblin have escaped, the latter taking out 6 men in the process. A cop with glowing eyes is walking away with the scene, but suddenly they're pulled into an alleyway with a very angry Roddy Kingsley. Mindworm tries to say that he's angry about the betrayal, and Mindworm's like, it was a momentary lapse of judgment. But of course, Kingsley's not buying it. He is Kingsley, and he has, in fact, prepared for this, planting a bomb inside the base of Mindworm's skull when first time they embraced. Despite nearly giving away Mayday's secret, Roddy doesn't believe that he's actually telling the truth, that Mindworm's telling the truth, and so he then destroys Mindworm, aka kills him. Walking away.
I think at that point, I mean, Hobgoblin wasn't going to change his mind. He was going to kill him because he betrayed him the first time, so it didn't matter what he was going to say.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean,
that's the point. He wasn't like, once that trust, quote unquote.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is I don't think that I don't think the issue was Hobgoblin didn't believe that Mindworm would give him that information. It was more, one, he's not really looking for that information. Mm-hmm. Because he's going to be Spider-Girl as Spider-Girl. Like, that's the vibe anyway. But
he's Norman, in the sense that Norman would want that information to go after Spider-Girl personally. It's just business with Kingsley.
Exactly. So, like, that didn't matter. Like, that one, it doesn't matter. But two, there was no... Once Mindworm pulled what he pulled, which we knew he was going to... I mean, because it was kind of obvious that he didn't trust Hobgoblin either. Right. Hobgoblin was going to get the best of him before he could hurt him. So mm-hmm. I just want to make sure that that's like super clear, that it's not the like Mindworm was begging, because Mindworm was begging, but it was like that was futile to begin with. There wasn't.
I don't even think. I think that Mindworm was going to die the moment.
The moment the betrayal happened, he was going to die.
I don't even think that he was going to make it, even if there wasn't a betrayal. I just think that in that regard, once he outlived usefulness,
but that's what I'm saying, is he would have still had usefulness after this.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
All right. So, walking away to lick his wounds. His plans are ruined, but we know, and we haven't seen the last of the Hobgoblin. So he exits the series for a little while. The next morning, we have Mayday arrive at the hospital. She's carrying the guilt of what has happened with her.
Wait, hold on. It's not the next morning. It's literally like right after this, because it's already morning.
Oh, was it already morning? Oh, yeah.
So the fight outside. So Charlie got shot. I'm wanting to say, I think it was probably around 6, or no, it would have been like around 7 or something. And like she needed to be at the hospital at that time. And so that's why she's running late.
Okay. I was, my bad. I for some reason thought it was still in nighttime.
I don't know. But see, because it's like in my head, she left out to go check on Roscoe at like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And the auction, I think, started at 3. And I'm not saying that like the times are really there, because I don't think they are. So this could just be like my little headcanon of trying to keep things straight. but basically the fight ensued for hours in the inside. But by the time Charlie and Mona ran outside, it was like daybreak.
Yes. Yeah. So later on that day, obviously she is ready to confide in her father about, everything that's happened. So everything is very fresh in her mind. She's still guilt ridden. So what the doctor, kind of interrupts that particular bit where he brings good news. Benji should have his hearing restored, and that he has a clean bill of health, which is overjoyed reaction between the family. May, MJ, and Peter are very glad to hear it. Peter's kind of looks like he's in shock, but May is overjoyed, but she's still guilt-ridden. What ifs are playing in her head as she goes to get a drink of water. What if she hadn't gone after Dead Spot? What if she did CPR? What if she had found an ambulance? And that's when Wes shows up to offer his support. And she's glad to see him and very thankful that he's there to see her. When May decides to rush into Jean's arms because Jean showed up at the same time, ready to start over again, echoing the conversation that we heard from last issue and echoing the things that Mona was saying to the lifeless body of Charlie. The end for now. Womp, womp. Kelly, your thoughts on this issue?
Obviously, it's a fun time to watch May team up with Hobgoblin. That's always fun. Obviously, art is fantastic. And I do actually like the scene with Wes and Davida just because I like the fact that, like, Davita's that friend. She is trying her hardest to play the high school hierarchy strings to get her, to kind of get what she wants because she thinks that that's what's best for May, even though May has told her multiple times, no. Davita's like, no, I know better than you. Like, which in fairness, in this case, she does. Because the thing is as we can see, May is clearly not understanding how, at this point, we've dealt with her helping save Sandra. But May doesn't realize
Mona,
that...
not you doing it.
No. I'm not. May... I'm talking about Sandra.
Oh, okay. All right, my bad. My bad.
Talking about Sandra, but the thing is May has helped Sandra get out of her relationship like that. May sees abusive relationships like that. She's not completely grasping that, Jean is doing something similar with her. Because the thing is, May is not a person to Jean. She's an object that he wants. And we'll see when I talk about it in the next issue, kind of what he wants, and what he wants out of her, but it's not her. He doesn't see her as the person. He wants the arm candy. He wants the status of having May Parker on his arm, and that's it. And she's supposed to please and live for him, and he's guilt tripped her when, in quite fairness, she's kind of been in a very shocked and emotional and vulnerable state this whole time. He's used that to guilt trip her. And as we saw too, when he was trying to get her to stop running for class president, sabotaging her poster boards and sabotaging her campaign behind her back for the sole reason to sit there and be arm candy for him. And this is all he wants. And like, it's not a good relationship. It's very, very red flag, very scary. So I'm here for Davida doing this because she's trying to do it in the best way that she knows how without starting some fight. But as Scheming for Sriracha says here, Eugene is just a toxic dude, and he is. So yeah, I don't know. It really sucks. Also too, like, when she hugs him, like runs away from Wes to go hug Jean. Again, Jean's pants. Like, I don't need to see that much of his underwear. I'm grossed out. I know that was a look at that time. It's sometimes still a look now, and I don't get it then, don't get it now. It's gross. So I just, it skews me out. He skews me out. Look at how low his pants are. It's gross. Gross.
For those that are audio listeners, I am holding up the actual book on the camera.
Gross. So. No, just go to Marvel Unlimited and look at it. It's gross. Gross. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just and then of course too one of the, I think my favorite moments. Well, I've got a lot to say. I will say before I move on from this too with May and Jean. Here's the thing. As you stated, she was listening to Mona's last words and the regret with Mona, and she was already kind of associating Charlie and Mona's relationship to her and Jean. You can't tell me that because she feels guilty, because she's sitting there going, well, what if I was a moment, a second quicker or this or that, because she does not take death well, even though there was nothing she could have done. Because Deadspot just shot him point blank, no questions. Like, there was no time. Nobody, that's the thing. She did everything right. You can't control that. You can't control everything around. And that's the thing that she just takes on that guilt. She feels like she's responsible for everything in the fight.
That's her dad.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It is. But that's what, like, this is stuff where it's like, I can tell you, like, if Peter was there, he would have told her that. Because he could have saw it far more objectively. Mm-hmm. And it's the thing though is like, because he can't take he can't take that. She can't take that. We've had the talks about this because she constantly is thinking that she is some failure as a superhero for tiny itty bitty mistakes, going, oh, well, my dad would have figured that out. And it's like, you're like 10 times better than your dad already. Like, no, like your dad wouldn't have figured that out, especially not at your age. But like I said, we've already got that. So like, she's already dealing with that. She sees Jean and Jean goes, are you going to change and do everything I ask for me, for love? And she's doing it. And I'm like, she's in shock. She's not thinking clearly. Like, like the older I get and the more that I think about it, it's like, she's not in her right headspace for this.
No.
And I know that he doesn't I know he's not realizing it, but he did also go to her brother's surgery that he knows was important to her. Doesn't ask how, Wes is or anything asks how Benji is or anything like that. No, he goes, so I'm here, so you're going to get back together with me, right? Like, see, and that's manipulative. And this is me just bashing Jean the whole time. But I will say too, to move on from that, Peter's first reaction going, I know those noises. I know she's there, which I think he's calling her at like 6 or 7 too, by the way. Because he's calling saying, hey, where are you? Mm-hmm. And, he's like, I know what's going on. I should go put on my suit and go out there, which is such a dad thing. But like him actually finally going, no, this is her. My place is here. That is a huge moment because one, that's showing, he finally does think that she can handle herself. He's not worried that she's not going to be there later. He's like, he doesn't feel like he has to go swoop in and save her, if that makes sense. Like he's trusting her, which is huge, not only just for like dad moment, but like just for Peter in general, because that is not a Peter thing.
Well, and let's be real. If you, going back and you've listened to this show and you've read along the journey along with us, this is a very significant milestone with Peter. And there's been a slow progression getting to this point. But in the past, Peter would have just been like, no, I must go put on the suit. And then MJ be like, bro, you need to be here. Don't put the stupid suit on.
Well, actually, I will say this. The last time he didn't do that was when Benji was born. And that was a high stakes situation completely. Not to mention, I would say I think Seth is a little bit of a greater threat than all of than what happened here at the auction. So,
So I have to give a shout out to Delilah, who is like the least known of all these crime
deadly Delilah.
But she's Tom DeFalco creation, so I'm like, Tom put his pet character in there.
I
seen a rivalry between her and Mayday, because I still don't get the whole talking in different fonts thing. That still has never been something that I've understood. Like, how am I supposed to read the different font? But that is like
you're supposed to read, at least the way I took this, and of course most of my first experience with Deadly Delilah is here in this issue, but I would take it as you're supposed to think of it like this is how do you let's see, IT crowd. So the gothic guy in the IT crowd, you know how he talks? That's it. That's what she sounds like. Don't even try to up pitch it. No. She sounds exactly like that.
Like monotone.
No.
Oh,
stop. I think I know you get it, but don't try to replicate it. At least watch a more recent, watch an episode first before you try, because I don't know if you've watched it recently.
It's been a while.
That was an off pitch. No. But you know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be like that super gothic kind of thing. That's the way I take it, is like she just sounds super, super goth, in almost a silly way.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, my thoughts on this real quick. Fun issue. Great kind of end cap to this arc. It really, we're at a year and a half now of this run, and it really kind of felt like things were starting to kind of coalesce around here. And it's, you still got a few plot threads. So, definitely of if you're going to look at it from the standpoint of this is the end of the first half really is in this issue. And yes, we're covering one more issue tonight, but I really like how the Hobgoblin subplot gets taken care of. This Kingpin disc subplot gets handled. The Benji stuff gets handled. So it is definitely an ending, but also there's enough there to leave you wanting more, which is something that they always did a really good job about. When it came to the ending of an arc, you wanted, now you want to know what's next with the high school drama. And that leads us to the other issue 17. Now, if you're reading this on Marvel Unlimited, it has been corrected.
Well, you remember where people were discussing that in one of the Discords? It was maybe 2 years ago, where we were talking about it somewhere, and somebody was like, no, they totally changed it. They had a second run. I don't remember issue 19 ever getting a second run with it corrected. I've never seen it. Every single time I've ever seen the issue, a physical copy, it's still saying 17. I think the only time I've seen it 19 was, and I got to check, but I think maybe the scroll cover was corrected.
I think so. Now, the reason that, and I was the one I think that started that.
Or not corrected, but you know what I mean? I think
has a correct number on there.
The B cover was correct, but I'll double check because I have that too, and I can't remember if that was also saying 17, because there was a whole situation where this, for the longest time, even scanned, the original scan in Marvel Unlimited back in 2010 had it at, even though it would say 19, it had it as 17. Somewhere along the way, they did fix it. I don't remember when. It just sort of happened, and I mean, it should have happened.
So going back to history, I remember asking Tom about this, and Tom had said that it will be corrected in a in like when they reprint it. So I think they corrected it in the digest, but or in not the digest, but the trades. But I don't remember.
So in the trades, though, I don't remember it showing like the different cover each issue. So I think it just goes through seamlessly. But this is also one of those stories that doesn't quite fit in either trade paperback, because this is kind of a momentary thing as we're leading into brand new May. And I mean, I do believe that there's some history here, though, because this is, and this is something I think we should talk about just story-wise before we go into it. Which, of course, I don't have like my facts completely straight, but I do remember, because this was the whole thing. There was a lot of discussion about how, Arana should be named Spider-Girl for the 616. And we were all like, no, this is a horrible idea. Don't do it. Because then they wanted to change May to Spider-Woman, which was gross and not her name. And still is not her name.
Tom and Ron once said in an interview, which is available on Spotify.
No, it's not. But it is.
Yeah, it is. It's still on Spotify. Yeah. It's not on Spotify. Don't go to Spotify.
Yeah, no. It's no. But if you do, leave it a 5-star.
Yeah, leave it a 5-star review. But they called it the kiss of death, switching her to.
Look, if it can't help Jessica, it can't help anyone.
Yeah. So yeah, and this kind of became a very meta cover and a very meta issue as a result of that, because there was a lot of anger directed and ire directed towards Marvel, because she got the marketing push that we begged Marvel to get. And yes, there was a marketing push for Amazing Spider-Girl #1, as I point back to my poster behind me.
I mean, it
was not like the marketing push that Arana got and the Amazing Fantasy 15 Volume 2, whole thing. Like, she got propped up so much in a way that Mayday never did.
Well, it's also, what I was going to say, though, is, I mean, you're right. Like, she got marketing pushed her hard. And this is my thing. I don't think they would have had Spider-Girl not been the hit that it is. And so, especially when you're looking at it right now, it did feel like a slap in the face. And it was a slap in the face until, they do this to Spider-Gwen, and that takes off like wildfire. And then all of us, all Spider-Girls and Spider-Women fans are just like, what? Because it's kind of a tale as old as time, unfortunately. Lead women characters very rarely get the marketing that they deserve. And May has always been, I've bitterly, or halfway bitterly, because at this point I'm not that angry anymore. I'm over it. Like, not over it. Like, I have not forgiven Marvel. I have trust issues due to that. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm no longer angry, as more like I have accepted that this is how this goes. Mm-hmm. But the thing with Mayday and Marvel marketing is they love using her when they want that solid Spider-Girl fan base to push her. And of course, right now you've got a lot of cosplayers and a lot of new teenagers, that they're getting into Marvel because of the MCU, and they don't quite know Mayday, but they've seen her costume, or they've seen things that Marvel has put out marketing wise when marketing wants that solid fan base, and it's garnering this bigger and bigger attention. And so, she's the first NFT. Which I wonder how that went for everybody. She's wondering, like, we're about to see, they literally have her set, if I'm thinking right, have they pushed back Spider-Verse again?
No, not that I know of.
So her issues are going to coincide right there as as Spider-Verse, the new Spider-Verse movie happens. Obviously she's in every single Spider-Verse team up, for better or for worse. So
we'll get to in future episodes.
Yeah. So the thing is she's always there. She's always in the back pocket for Marvel to use when they need her, so they can, because they know that she's going to bring in some numbers. But it's never effective. But then again, when you look at how they look, so going into, obviously we know that they gave Anya the Spider-Girl moniker in the 616 after this issue. And they lobotomized the character. It killed, let's be fair, for a long time, it killed any excitement people had because it wasn't the right story for her. It wasn't the right name for her.
Well,
they just now changed it back because now they want that diversity and they want that story that they literally tried to take away from her to make her quote unquote more marketable then.
It's a fascinating tale of the whole Grim Hunt story, which is how she got the Spider-Girl moniker, was so poorly done in terms of executing this name change and this costume change and setting up the status quo.
Because they were being told to do it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. And I'm sure editorial got told by marketing. And
by the editor-in-chief.
Oh, yeah.
Who this was his character. As we explained, what was it? 2 episodes ago? She was kind of created as a character for Joe Quesada's daughter to identify with as a Hispanic American female spider character. The intention was there to try to create this new character, and they were wanting to call her Spider-Girl. Didn't happen because, frankly, the Spider-Girl fan base went, look, there's already a Spider-Girl. We don't need 2 Spider-Girls running around. It's going to confuse readers. So Arana becomes Arana, Spider-Girl becomes Spider-Girl, and then, with the big time relaunch in 2011, which was 3 years after this issue.
Well, it was 3 years after this issue, yes. And it was, I think Spider-Girl The End had just dropped either at the end of 2010. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Which the worst part about that was they get Spectacular Spider-Girl gets announced as a miniseries.
It was in Marvel Unlimited right as they launched the app.
Yeah, so they started off at Marvel Unlimited, then they were doing a what they were told was an ongoing series that when it got published, the first issue said 1 of 4.
Yeah.
They didn't even know that it was a miniseries. They get told, "Oh, you've got to wrap up your story because we're doing this whole big relaunch with Spider-Girl and we can't have 2 Spider-Girl comics out." So that's how Spider-Girl The End came to be.
Well, too, this was also during the Disney merger.
Yes.
It just not to say that I don't think anything was necessarily meant to be backhanded like that. I think the issue was they just merged, and let's be fair, Disney likes synergy. There's not a lot of synergy when, again, there's 2 Spider-Girl titles.
No. And I think if you've looked at Marvel from the acquisition point onward, it's very symmetry is like
synergy, not symmetry.
Well, symmetry, but
well, no, and I mean, again, I will also state though, it's not like Marvel the Marvel Disney merger was not all bad. I do distinctly remember during that time I was, being very Cassandra about it all, saying that Disney was going to ruin Marvel. Because, we've seen what happens when WB's agreement with DC, how that's gone. This agreement here at least does keep them fairly separate creative wise for the most part. But we could go all day long on how that's happened, but at least like Marvel Comics is separate from Disney, in that sense. They are allowed to.
They do have autonomy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're allowed to be. Just, they're I'm sure they get told certain things can and cannot happen leading up to certain things, happening movie-wise, but that's about it.
Patreon discussion. So, let us know if you want to see that in the comments below on patreon.com. Spidey Network.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, so I guess we do need to go ahead and move on. But yeah, just to set up, because I think we kind of went, there's a lot to discuss in the terms of Spider-Girl versus Arana here.
Yes.
But basically during this time was kind of that head point of really wanting to push back on the fact that Anya has her own name and has her own story. She doesn't need to be Spider-Girl. And two, I also want to preface anybody who has started off with Spider-Girls, the miniseries, and seen 616 Anya be very friendly and almost like protectively, like a protective friend to May. This is 982 Anya.
Yeah,
she has a different life, a very different life than what has happened to Anya in the 616. So it is two separate characters. So I do want to make sure that is clear. That this is not this older Anya. So what would she be here? Like 35?
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be in her like early mid 30s here, I believe. So you have to think this is Anya. This is Anya from the time of her original drop, as to 2008.
17 better powers. So if it's 15, she's like an early.
Yeah, I think they've de-aged her a little bit now on that. But yeah, she was 16, 17 when she got her powers.
So so she's probably around our age now, 32, between 30 and 35.
Well, because we also have to think though. See, this is where it gets wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, because she wasn't around. When I would say, see, my thing is, the way I always thought about it was like, okay, if Peter is in his mid 20s when she's like 16, and what I think because they de-aged him. Wibbly, age is nothing but a construct in Marvel. But
you're right.
I don't know.
He's been de-aged and
yeah. How old did we decide Fabian was? Like late 20s?
Yeah, he's like 28, 29.
Okay. And she's probably a little bit older than him, I think.
Yeah. So I would say
I'm guessing early 30s. Like maybe a little older than me. So maybe like your age. Yeah. She's in her 30s.
My existential crisis has begun when I realized I was turning 35 this year, so it's fine. I'm officially out of the target demographic.
Yeah, wow.
18 to 34 demo. Yeah, I'll be in the old man demo now.
Yeah. Old man yells at cloud. There you go. Feel strong about that. You can now yell at a cloud.
As if I don't already yell at clouds?
Yeah. Anyway. So, all right, let's go ahead and start this. So Amazing Spider-Girl 19, aka the other 17, Info cover date is June 2008, and it was on sale April 9th, 2008. The title is There Can Only Be One. We start with Peter burning the oven mitt while making wheat cakes. He's distracted by the newspaper outlining what happened at the old Brooklyn Theater. They talk about Charlie, and May still feels like she needs to be a better superhero because she knows others would have found ways to save Charlie, like her dad, which, as I stated earlier, no, you wouldn't have. Anyway, yeah. I went into this because I literally wrote, some wouldn't have a spider sense to find the invisible assassin chasing Mona down to get there. So, like,
Bro.
pretty sure she did the best anyone could do. But anyway, meanwhile, in a secret temple in Manhattan, Arana talks about the auction and how she wanted to use it as a way to lure Black Tarantula out, but he didn't take the bait like she thought he would. She also advises to Michael that Spider-Girl could be useful to them just yet. She just needs a teacher. Meanwhile, May is stressed over a pop quiz, and as class ends, she walks the halls with Davida and Courtney wearing Jean's varsity jacket, and Davida is rightfully letting May have it on how self-absorbed Jean is. As Davida asks for backup from Courtney, Courtney's lost in thought because of how hard things have been with Moose and Moose's dad. But May's spider sense goes off, and she finds her stalker is Simone, which, as you know, the stalker that was running around in what we thought was a varsity jacket was Simone, being a very insecure girl. Anyway, Simone tells May to keep the varsity jacket clean for her, since it's only a matter of time before Jean comes back to her. Something about how he couldn't wait for something, and was very eager for something, if you know what Simone means, which really just makes me feel sorry for Simone, because that's also very, very abusive. If, he just left, May to go to Simone to get what he wanted and then goes back to, like, I know we're supposed to hate Simone, but I actually feel really, really genuinely upset for her, because this is horrible. Do not treat women this way. This is wrong. Anyway, Sarah comes up to May and they have a friendly chat. Sarah, of course, is the mutant that we saw a few issues back. And they have a friendly chat, and where Sarah really wants to talk to May about something, because, Sarah is back at Midtown High. She's not going to any mutant school. She's going to be back with her people, because that's the way she feels like she belongs, back in her neighborhood, back with her parents, normal life. And she really wants to talk to May, more than likely about how to handle it all, because, as we know, Sarah did see May do a lot of backflips earlier. But Jean pushes Sarah aside before they can have a real chat, and May is all too love-struck to really see that hurt Sarah's feelings, which was rightfully so. And that makes me upset for Sarah. So Anya sets a plan while her minions go out and hunt for Spider-Girl among the Forest Hill area high schools, because they've determined that Spider-Girl likes to go out between 3 to 10 o'clock at night, and generally is found around high schools. May needs to be smarter, which I know she doesn't know, but that worries me that Anya could figure that out. So anyway, Michael expresses doubt over this, and Anya assures him that she can handle a teenage girl and that they can use May, or they can use Spider-Girl, which Michael replies, like how the Spider Society used you? Not great. Anyway, because that's exactly how Anya wants to use her. So after school at Midtown High, May sits in the bleachers, like Jean asked, and uses the time to catch up on her studies, though the other football girlfriends tell May that she's being disrespectful because she's supposed to watch the game and then cheer for Jean when he does something good, but it's like practice. May tries, but after 10 minutes, she's out of there. Or after 10 minutes, she's out of there. She got very bored very quickly. As May leaves, a student in a cheer uniform tells May that she should try out for the dance team. like May doesn't have enough on her plate. But May mulls it over and slips into her costume to do some light web swinging. May starts noticing what she thinks are bird watchers, but are actually guys from Aranya's crew. As May confronts one of them, Arana comes in ready for a fight, and calling her little sister in Spanish. And they battle it out as an introduction, like vigilantes tend to do. May has had enough of it, though, and doesn't understand the point of the fight anyway, so she tries to lose Arana. Yet they wind back up into fighting on top of a subway train because Arana really just needs her to fight back for some reason. Arana keeps telling May how she's not a good hero and she's naive and doesn't understand anything, doesn't understand how the world works. And, the way that Spider-Girl handles things is just not right because it's not tough enough, and someone needs to teach her that. Someone like Arana, perhaps. Arana disses Spider-Man and calls him a lousy teacher, and this goads May into following her. May does her best to end the fight and pins Arana down with impact webbing. Spider-Girl tells Arana that she'll admit to her shortcomings and mistakes and knows she has a lot to learn. But May is doing the best she can, and she isn't some glory hound like what Arana is trying, to make her, think. But Arana breaks out of the webbing with an exoskeleton and comes charging at Spider-Girl, who magnetizes the rooftop and punches Arana as hard as she can. She then webs Arana up really nice and tight and swings away. Michael comes out of hiding, and Arana says it all went well, and she's placed her seeds of doubt in May, which, or she places her seeds in May, which I assume is just more self-doubt the girl was already riddled with. So great. Thanks. Good job. That's totally how to be a friend, Arana. Anyway, May heads back to the football field to meet up with Jean and calls her dad. She tells him that she wants to start her training back up, which Peter agrees to, and May walks away with Jean to Cafe Indigo as she tries to figure out how she's going to juggle everything and find a way to make time for Jean. The end for now. You're on mute.
Sorry, I was busy listening to you, give that riveting recap as I was, going through the issue with you, like so many of our readers do when they listen to the show. Really enjoy this issue. It is interesting because you don't ever see the exoskeleton thing show up like in modern day Aranya stuff.
No, yeah. Well, I don't remember her having an exoskeleton prior to Spider-Girl. She did, okay.
Yeah, she did the early appearances, like with the Aranya title, but it definitely was not in the Spider-Girl book.
No, well, again, like I stated, they took everything interesting and cool about Aranya when they changed her to Spider-Girl and took it away. And we're only now finally getting some of that back. But of course, like literally she became Aranya right at the beginning of this new Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So, hopefully time will tell, and hopefully she gets her full power back and kind of gets her name back in, full capacity. But again, that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like, it's been so long with her basically having her hands tied behind her back and being called something that's not her name.
Yeah. And speaking of like hands being tied behind her back, Mayday is caught very off guard and she is trying really hard not to. Yeah.
May is like, what is this? Why are you fighting me? Why? And like, stop calling me little sister. What the heck? Like, which is fair because this is weird. Mm-hmm. This is very weird. And of course, we find out what Anya decides to do, which is gross. Which we'll talk about. But like, so the thing is like this whole thing. This is the thing. Is basically this Anya, what happened with the Spider Society, like, really affects her here. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like down that line the lines are blurred between, because the Anya we know now has such a strong, I will say, has a strong sense of morals, especially like when she was in the Black Widow comics. Currently in Spider-Girl and Spider-Verse, she's very like, she knows right and wrong.
Yes.
This one, I guess, because like the Spider Society kind of grabbed onto her really young, because now she's in college because she can age. But only to a certain degree. I'm sure right after this, like this is it. It's kind of like seeing almost a dark path. This is clearly like one of her darker timelines, darker multiverse self. And it's it's not a pleasant situation. But I do think that she was a victim.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Maddie Franklin, what would happen if, Madam Web, took her down a dark path or something like that, or Madam dies and there's a vacuum of some sort. And because, I mean, obviously, you don't, I mean, if you're looking at the druids, the guys that she's talking to, like in her lair, they're definitely dressed like Madam Web.
Well, I mean, it's almost like a cult, and that's kind of the situation. Is like it's a cult. So like what she thinks might be for the greater good, even though we find out like it's all most slightly to get back at an ex, or get back with an ex. Not 100% sure. It's she's kind of using it to her own accord. And she's picking and choosing what is right and what is wrong. And it's because her clarity has been blurred. Things are now shades of gray. They're no longer black and white, which, Spider-Girl dealt with that. But like, I guess where it's Spider-Girl still knows good and bad. Anya here doesn't quite know that line anymore. And so that's kind of what we're seeing here. And it's interesting because, like I said, I don't ever want to call her a full-on villain, but she's definitely doesn't have May's best interests here. Clearly, she only looking out for herself and what she has deemed the greater good. Which I still I have some thoughts on that, but that will be explained in Brand New May, which we will not get to until beginning of 2023. Because next episode rather, is going to be American Dream. But anyway, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll finish my thoughts on this. It really is. I love the opening scene with Peter and May. I in my headcanon now, they go to Sam's Club and they buy oven mitts in bulk. They buy like
Would it be Sam's Club or Costco?
I think Peter would be a more Costco guy than a Sam's Club, especially because it's New York and they don't like Walmart in general.
Who actually likes Walmart? The necessary evil.
Right. I mean, I like Sam's. If you give me a choice, but that's because I didn't have a Costco where I was from, so yeah. And then allegedly there's going to be one possibly built like right next to my house, and if that happens, then I will definitely get a Costco membership and be eating my dollar hot dogs.
It's fair. I've never stepped in a Costco in my life.
I used to work at Sam's back actually whenever this was being published. My first tour of duty with Sam's. That's more or less my thoughts. I really like how they brought Arana in and they made a story out of it. I mean, they made lemonade out of lemons, and turning something that was a negative into a positive and actually using it as a story element, I thought was really, really.
Well, again, the character is not the negative. It was what
all the other fluff.
It's what was being kind of pushed.
Yes.
was the issue. Because again, I will stand by almost any character. I just think that again, you need to have a writer that actually cares, and you need to have a story worth telling. And here, the story is worth telling. Although this is kind of planting more seeds for the next part. But see, this story is good and it's worth telling, and it's done to me brilliantly. Where no one's, no one's just a 2D version of themselves. Like I've stated this countless times. Like the way this writing is, these characters feel human. They feel real. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like it doesn't feel like some 1940s radio serial about Batman or Superman. Like these are real people. In that degree, they're fictional characters, obviously, but they feel like they're real. So, as I stated about the morals, there's some dimension there, and they tell the story. So,
I did want to mention because Venkman has the trade, and apparently they have. It does say issue 19, and it shows both versions of the covers back to back.
Okay, cool.
So it's in there. Give us your thoughts on this issue, and then we can.
Yeah. As I kind of already did, as I kept interrupting you, but I
welcome the interruptions. It's fine.
I will say that, like, I do remember reading this at 17 and like really, really hating Arana, and just like you knew it was bad news, but of course we don't know how bad. But it's like, what is she plotting? What is she planning? What is going on? I don't like this. I don't like who she is here and what she's turned into. Because of course then I'm thinking in teenage brain. And I'm not thinking about like, where we've seen people like it now, at 32, like I've seen people that have gone down dark paths and have completely changed who they are. But like, you don't think that, as a teen necessarily, because you're young. And so it's kind of because I don't know, like I remember being 17 going, I'll never change. And it's like, to a degree I haven't, but also life changes you regardless. That's the whole point. So that's kind of where that came from. I remember opening this issue, like just being so angry at it, because I was just like, I don't like this the way she is. But of course too, I was angry at the whole situation. I didn't like the character to begin with anymore because of what Marvel was trying to do. So it made sense to villainize her. But like I said, as I stated earlier, I don't want to villainize her because there's a backstory there that we might not, have right now. But, there's things that have made her into this. And it's, she hasn't had a great life. And then of course, like I said, the issue is really well done. And like, you can see an Aranya that might have turned out this way, but thankfully, this in the 616, she's a lot freer of a person. She has a lot more autonomy as a person, and maybe that, maybe in some weird way, her getting the Spider-Girl moniker kept her from that fate. Although I think somebody would have figured something out, or just wouldn't have continued the character at all. So
Yeah. I do love the Highlander reference that I just now got.
Good.
Shouldn't have taken me that long.
No, that's okay.
It's all right.
Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, so, that's really all I have to say about it. Obviously, I don't know, like the way Brand New May starts off, it just feels new and feels like a totally different chapter. But this is like kind of trying to thread that in there. So it's not a complete close like last issue was.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely the season premiere before we get to the meaty part of like it's like the first half hour of an hour long season premiere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a good issue. It's a fun issue. I'm glad that kind of we got to kind of explore it and give it its space, you know, and instead of try to stuffing that into like the last episode and, you know, making like a 6-part, you know.
No, and that's kind of my thing is I didn't want to, because it was either make a kind of longer episode last episode and then just have this one off, or just kind of put these in like this, which to me made more sense, because then at least here's this other story wrapping things up. Here's this that's now continuing its forward. And we can kind of take a little break and read American Dream next. So, yeah. But before we talk about that, we do have an email.
Yes. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, you can read it. But also, like, everybody, like, because I feel like nothing wrong with Vinkman emailing us every episode. That's cool. But, like, I want to hear from everybody else, too. Yeah. Like, I want to hear from more people. Let's have, like, 2 or 3 emails next time, please.
Yeah. Make my Mayday at gmail.com or Spidey Dude Radio Network at gmail.com. You can leave us emails. Spidey Dude one is for all the shows on the Spidey Dude Radio Network. Vinkman left us an email. He says, web fluid doesn't taste very good. This is the subject. He says, hello, Kelly and Zach. I wanted to write a quick email to assure you that it's not a problem when you go off on tangents like you did in the last episode. It's always fun and lighthearted. Besides, it's never, all caps, not entertaining when Kelly goes off on one of Mayday's friends like Davita. On the flip side, he thought it was very sweet of Kelly to be so sympathetic and understanding towards the Bridezilla from the end of that story. Even if she's a total Karen and she probably deserved to have her mouth webbed shut, Kelly reminded us that weddings are expensive and stressful for everyone. Take it from somebody that's been married twice. This is a true statement. The last thing anyone wants is for anything to go wrong, and that includes being interrupted by a costumed spider person. Thanks for always giving us an entertaining show, and until Neil takes over the network and turns this into a Transformers podcast, make mine Mayday. Sincerely, Vinkman.
So did Vinkman think that that's what Neil was doing when he was here earlier?
He can answer that question in the comments down below. Speaking of, if you want to be part of the show, if you're listening to the audio edition of this episode, be sure to give us a 5-star review. And if you want to be a part of the show live, when the live streams occur, find us on YouTube at Spidey Dude Radio Network is the handle on YouTube. At Spidey Dude Radio Network is the place to be. So we'll take maybe some final comments before we wrap this episode up. You good with that?
Yeah, and then sure. And then we'll just talk a little bit about the next episode, because that I do want us to have a hard date on, because I want to make sure that you at least get your month off for your birthday too.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be busy because I'm trying to schedule some interviews. Like,
okay, all right.
But no, look, I am, I'm thankful for taking some time, taking a step back. We probably won't do as many Spidey experiences next month. Obviously, next week, we're recording this the week before Thanksgiving. This will be out before Thanksgiving, so that way you guys can listen to the audio editions on Thanksgiving break next week. So. I'm going to be flying to El Paso. You're going to be heading home for the holiday, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'll be. It's not home, but yeah, St. Mary's
with your parents.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see my mom, me and my daughter. My daughter gets to fly in an airplane for the first time that she remembers.
Ooh.
So she's
fun.
very. So we get to go see my mom.
It's just an Airbus.
Yeah. Well, see. Daddy gets very airsick, so
oh no!
I'm going to be popping Dramamine and trying to take a nap while simultaneously entertaining the child. So, because she's gonna want a window seat, and she's gonna want to look out the window, and she's gonna be like, "Daddy, Daddy," I'm like, "Nope, I can't." So it's terrible. ever since I stuffed a silicone earplug into my ear and got it into my inner ear canal, my balance and my ability to fly on airplanes has been affected ever since.
Yeah. So moral of the story is don't rupture your eardrum.
Yeah,
sticking things in your ear.
Yeah, it was the best part about that was they thought it was a cancerous polyp because I lost hearing in that ear after we got back from our cruise, and the email that the ear, nose, and throat doctor sent was quite entertaining because she's looking and looking and she's got this microscope looking thing and she stuffed it in my ear and she's like, then she grabs some tweezers and like some specialized tweezers and plucks it out and she's like, what is that? And I was like, it's a silicone earplug. And the best way of describing how my hearing was at that point was when you're really drunk or really hungover the next morning and people are like talking too loud. That was me. It was like that ear was having to recompensate, and so everything was like an 11.
Yeah. Sorry.
Terrible. It was like me after I watched Amazing Spider-Man 2 on theater. Womp womp. Anyway, if we don't have any other comments,
it's just it's Neil and Binkman talking about Neil taking this over and turning our show into Make Mine Megatron, which over my dead body, Neil.
She will. Some, I'm not seeing any of the live comments. Like it is stuck on my end. So.
Oh well, I mean, too. I guess like whenever you renewed, like I don't have my co-host abilities because I've been trying to like take Binkman's comment off screen, and I can't do it. So we need to fix that at some point. But
I'll fix it
Okay, cool. So before we go, like I said, I want a hard date on this. December 1st, 2022. We will live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. And it's going to be American Dream, which I will send you I will send you like who gets what and everything tomorrow, hopefully. But we're going to end the year with the last MC2 mini, American Dream. We get to see things through Shannon's perspective a bit and get more insight on what makes her so worthy of the shield. It's a lot of fun and one of my absolute favorites. So I'm excited to tackle it for the show. And then we will be taking the rest of the year off. And we will start back with brand new May in January, which we will give you those dates, maybe on the 1st. If not, we will definitely send out little emails and stuff like that. But obviously, when you want to catch us, if we ever have to change things around because of circumstances beyond our control, like parents surprisingly visiting, because that does happen. It's a good thing. It's not bad. I promise. I'm not making fun of you, Zach. It was okay.
Oh, I know. No, you're good.
But in changes that we can't change or situations we can't change, definitely if you want to follow us on the live stream on YouTube, there's a little bell icon. You got to click it and you got to make sure it says all notifications. So that way you get a notification every single time Spidey Dude goes live. Also, too, on Facebook, we will try to get better at that, especially because right now the updates on it now makes me like it keeps switching it on my app. So I always have to check before I post a status that I'm not in Spidey Dude because for some reason it keeps putting me in there.
Oh, listen, the recent update that they rolled out is so. It could be worse. You could be Brad, who is locked out from posting like comments until like the end of the month.
I really want to know what actually happened. I feel like there was an update and someone accidentally posted something they shouldn't have, and it just locked it. But I didn't see it. So,
see, I had the same thing, and I like walked him through what I did, but I had to go onto a computer to fix it. I couldn't do it on mobile, and I couldn't do it on my tablet. I had to go in.
Wait.
Okay, it's true. It's what we're talking about. Never mind.
It will, yeah. No, because I just realized it would sound shady unless people actually fully understand. But like again, there's reasons, I panic when Brad says he's going to Google something. So I'm just saying, we'll figure it out at some point. It'll be okay. But yes, so December 1st, American Dream. We're going to try and do our best to make sure that everything is ready to go by that date. And then we will try our best to give you some dates as we start one of my favorite stories in all comics, Brand New May, for better or for worse. And we'll definitely talk about the complicated feelings when that happened and everything that goes on in that. Because I got a lot to say. So
that may be an long episode of Make Mine Mayday.
I mean, obviously, it's the last third of the series. We're gonna try and do 4 issues still, but like it might wind up where certain things are 3 or 2, just because there's a lot. There's a lot to talk about.
So we're at issue 19 right now. We have the big oversized issue 25, which gives us some more context of certain things. There's a lot that we're going to be here. We're going to be covering, especially in those last stories and stuff like that. It's very, very dense, very, very riveting. I really love this era of Brand New May as well. I really like it a lot, and we'll talk a lot about the history and what went on and everybody's reactions and stuff like that. So you'll get a lot of details on that. But first, we're going to do American Dream. I have not read it yet, so this is going to be my first time reading it. So I'm looking forward to that.
How did you never read it?
I forgot it existed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. It was one of those things. It was coming out around the same time as when this was being released.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll tell you, it was 2008 was my year from hell. I lost my sister in January. Around this time, I was about to lose my grandmother, and so it was just like boom, 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 and like for a while throughout that year, like one of my great joys in life was reading Amazing Spider-Girl. And so it was very much my escape from the doldrums of but at that point I wasn't like as into the rest of the MC2 universe as I was into Spider-Girl. And
Neither
I was
anyone else, and that's why we didn't get any more.
I know, it was my fault. It's all my fault.
Justice for G2.
Yeah, justice. Hashtag, he needs it. But yeah, so with that, we'll I guess wrap up the episode there. Normally I'd have like a card up, but my controls are not working now.
Again, I did warn everybody in the chat. We had some technical difficulties, so thanks for sticking with us on this kind of slightly chaotic episode, which is hilarious because this was probably our like most prepared.
It really was.
And somehow we botched it.
Botched it. I think we have evolved to a point where we can be free flowing and structured at the same time.
Yes, unless we deviate from this episode structure. So on special episodes, we need to rein in our insanity sometimes. But that's okay.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff. We'll talk a lot about what we want to do in 2023. Next episode with the American Dream mini and what we're looking forward to, and all of it coming here on Make Mine Mayday. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us live on YouTube or you're watching the replay on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you're listening to us on the audio edition, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time here on Make Mine Mayday, a part of the Spidey Dude Network. As I leave the studio, I'm trying to end the broadcast. And I'm going to have to X out.
Night, Ron.
Good night, Ron. Oh, let me.
You left. I don't know how. I'm just going to leave.
Okay. Well, yeah. Hi, Ron. Anyway, this is just wow. All right. We'll see you guys next time here on the Spidey Radio Network as this technical problem goes away. All right.